we of course have to start with the biggest story that has been dominating the headlines at least this week, if not into 2 weeks, and that is the off-field saga with the Canadian women's national team. They were on the pitch last night in the first match of the 8th edition of the SheBelievesCup. I think everyone expected it to be a tough night for the Canadians, both mentally and emotionally, but they were playing the world champions who looked every bit the part. 2-0 would be the final in that match, with Mallory Swanson showing that she's becoming one of the greatest footballers on the planet right now. She's scored every single time she has played this year, 4 consecutive matches with a goal as well. Oliver Platt, what do you take away from yesterday with the emotions and the on-field product, which definitely needs to be spoken about as well?
Yeah, obviously it's a difficult game to analyze because like the reality is these players are obviously, have their minds elsewhere primarily right now. And we all understand that. They're coming into this game, I'm sure, pretty exhausted from everything that's gone on over the past week. And the reality is, if you can't prepare like this to face probably still the best team in the world, USA in USA. And expect to turn in your best performance and the performance of a caliber that will get you a result. So it is a very difficult one to analyze in that respect. I think this Canadian team is better than they showed last night. I don't think there's any question about that. But again, we all understand the reasons why maybe they didn't hit those heights. That being said, I think there was a couple of things in the performance that maybe, like I said, were exacerbated by the circumstances, but are kind of familiar issues for this team and things that, do need work going into the World Cup. And the concern now is how much work are they going to get in this window, and particularly if it drags into the next window in April. Playing out the back continues to be an issue, continues to get themselves in trouble. There's moments where Canada does a really good job of kind of manipulating the opposition press and working the ball out of the back. They have the players to do it with the technical quality to do it. And there's moments where they look like they're kind of guessing a little bit and they don't necessarily have that structure in their build-up that they need to really break through a team like the United States. This was obviously the most glaring moment in that regards, which gifted them the second goal. So that was an issue, and I think has been an issue prior to this game, which is why I bring it up, because again, we know it may have been worse than it looked for obvious reasons on the night. And then also, I think the front four continues just to be a completely open question. I think Jordan Heitema didn't really make a tremendous impact in an attacking sense. I thought she gave him a lot of work defensively, but struggling to score goals against this caliber of opponent. The wide players, like you're missing Nichelle Prince, I think that's left a hole. Where does Janine Becky play? Is she a winger or a fullback now? Christine Sinclair, what is her role going to be at this stage of her career at the World Cup? I think that front four is pretty much wide open for anyone to take a role. And that obviously, the matches to find out what your best starting lineup is are running out now.
Gareth, to add?
The American team, just for comparison's point, they've gone through their own battles for equal pay, their own collective bargaining. Took 6 years for them to get their contract done with the U.S. Federation. They sued the U.S. Federation in that process. They didn't win that battle, but they ended up getting what they set out to without striking. So with the teams coming together, if this is going to be a situation that the Canadian women are going to dig in and face, and I think they're going to have to, because it's not just about them right now. It's about the men's national team as well, coming together with the association and coming up with the contract that the framework is being presented. It sounded like they were close, at least on the women's side of the equation, to coming up with what that equation would look like last summer. Things have all changed with the way that the men's national team were supported heading into their first World Cup in 36 years. And now they're fighting for the same. So the U.S. managed to win through that uphill climb, through the battles off the field. On the field, they still remain top notch. So I think that for this game, yes, we can kind of understand what they've gone through, but inevitably, at the end of the day, these women are too good and have the potential to be much better than they showed. And I think that that's going to be the challenge. And if we're going to be honest, over the course of last year's calendar year, there were high water marks, and there was some frustration as well in the way that they played. And I think this kind of carried over into this game. I still think they need to find a solution at left back The ball that was played by Chapman, I believe, or no, Jill to Sheridan, that left side of the field for me, just there's a little bit imbalance. Ashley Lawrence has been playing there. Ashley Lawrence is the best player on the team. Like that's the way that I see things. I'm not sure if you guys see things the same way. I want her playing in midfield. I don't know how many more times I need to say this. I know with Jade Revere not being fit yet, being able to play, she's a ready-made solution at right back. I think that the best version of this side will be when you can get Ashley Lawrence playing in the midfield. Will we see it? There's been no evidence to suggest that we will.
I think I think Lawrence will be the left back wheels when Revere's back.
But do you think that's a mistake? Like,
is
there no other option at that position? Is Gabby Carl not ready? Is she not good enough? I'm not sure. I'd like to see her have a little bit of a go because Ollie, to your point, I think that Lawrence in the midfield pushes Fleming into a more advanced role where she could be more of an influence in that attacking four. Yes. And I think it solves a lot of the potential problems in the team.
I think looking at the game.
Sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
I think looking at the game last night, I agree with you, Wheels. It feels almost like a waste a bit having Lawrence playing as a fullback and doing a bit of the dirty work when she could add so much going forward. And watching the game objectively and looking at Fleming is just like such a baller and could add so much to the attack that's obviously missing for the women's national team. Now, also the one thing that stood out to me is like Sinclair's role as well. It's like most decorated player in Canadian soccer for sure. But just with this team and how they're defending, when you play it into her, doesn't really have the wheels to kind of take it and distribute. Still in the box, so dangerous. So it's maybe for Bev Priestman figuring out a way, like, is she a hold-up striker and people are playing off of her? But just having her in the pocket there, sometimes it's not. I've seen many games where it's hard to say that, right? Because this is a woman who has scored prolific goals and has just been dangerous for the women's national team. But is it effective just putting her essentially at that 10 position? I think, like, I agree with you, Wheels. Popping Ashley up would be phenomenal for the squad. It's just figuring out how does that back four look, because you don't want to be leaking goals as well.
They have two other games in this tournament. Let's see if they can hit the reset button and come up with a better performance. That certainly wasn't it last night. The one comment that was made in the conference call, I'm not sure if you guys were on it this week with the women's national team, they were frustrated the fact that more young players haven't come through. But I look at Awujo, I look at Jade Rose. They impress me, guys. Like, whether some of these experienced players like it or not, some young players are going to be pressing and trying to force their way into the team and are making some cases. So I think there are some really good young players and some fresh faces. I know that Lacasse is a little bit older, but I mean, she's a new face really to this team, or a newer face. She impresses me every time that she's on the field. Yeah. So perhaps there's going to, if they're stuck a little bit in neutral, they need some new ideas and they need some new thoughts. I think there are some players that can come into this team and freshen it up.